with my eldest off to uni next year, I need to make a quilt for him. So he's got a little bit of something from home and I'm rapidly running out of time. So today I am getting started on the design portion of this project, partly because I am running out of time, partly because I'm procrastinating on my other quilt that is just not tickling my mojo. And this one has been playing on my mind. So I'm going to get started using Procreate. I've just created a canvas that is 2100 pixels across, 1600 pixels down, which is the ratio of a king single quilt, which is what I'll be making. I've also turned on my drawing guide. And I'm just going to pick just a plain black pen. I probably don't quite need a knitted texture, do I? That's not going to be overly helpful. So let's just pick, I'll just go down to, just going to get like my paintbrush, I think. Just a round brush, done. Just check sizing. Yeah, I might just shrink it just a touch like that. Okay. So when I was starting to talk to him about it, I showed him a few options that I picked kind of from my Pinterest board that I thought he would be interested in, showed him a few options, and so I'll show you what my inspiration image looks like. So that's where I'm starting with. It's going to be mainly greys for the background with greens in the middle. Obviously, I'm not going to do it exactly the same, but that's kind of my starting point of what I'm looking at. So I have my canvas sidewards so that I can work down. That just feels a bit easier for me, but we'll see how I go as I play around it. So I feel like mentally I want the main focus to be about a third of the way down. So I'm just going to go, actually, I can just go, I'm actually not loving that pen for that. I do have this one here. So this is the Everyday Monoline pen. And so you can see I've got two there. So I downloaded it as the Mono Weight, which was a freebie as a subscriber. I'll link her website below. You can sign up and get access to the resource library. I also have purchased the commercial license, so I can use this in client projects. And then I've taken that, which I really love also, and it's really quite nice and swishy. And then from there, I took it and I just duplicated it and created basically the same one, but a note-taking version. So, this is the monoline. So you can see it kind of blends together. I'm just using my name as an example. Whereas then if I do the note-taking, it just doesn't drag the cursor as quite as light. So this is great for lettering and playing and stuff like that. Whereas I find the note-taking one is a bit better. I use it a lot for my digital Bible journaling and my Bible study notes. So that's the difference between those two. So I'm just using the note one for now. Okay, so let's start with the first line. I will confess, I'm not a huge fan of curves in that I'm slightly terrified of them. And I don't know why my gestures aren't working. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's duplicate that one and I'm just going to shove it up like that. See, I don't know. Looking at the inspiration image, it's not that neat. It's quite organic. So I'm actually going to undo that. And then I'm just going to come in and just kind of follow along. So a bit a little bit wider coming up here. Now, in my inspiration image, they are all separate ones, but I actually feel like I want to kind of have a bit of a crossover like this. They can probably even be a bit skinnier like that. That one's not great. I'm just going to experiment with dropping that to the mono weight brush, just to see if that gets me slightly nicer curves. So then once I'm done with Procreate, I am going to take it into Photoshop. And so then I can slice it and print it, and I can use this section here as a foundation to create the curves. And so I'll piece that in different greens, and then mentally my plan is I can then piece these in different greys in a kind of an improv style. This morning's thought was potentially I might even end up dyeing those greys myself, so it's all the same color family, just different depths of color. I don't know. It's tempting, but that also feels a little bit crazy. So I don't know. This one can go under like that, and then come and go like, a bit like that maybe. Oh, I'm liking that. Okay. And then like looking at my inspo image, there's a couple that don't go all the way across. So I might even add some of those, a bit like that. And then maybe one down here. Just kind of a bit halfway. Okay, I'm just going to turn that drawing guide off now. Oh, that's actually not bad, isn't it? Okay. So I'm wondering whether maybe I might color it in a bit and see whether that helps get a bit of a feel for it. So I'm just going to turn it back around this way. Just going to turn my whole iPad like this. Okay, that's cool. So what I might do is, let's duplicate that one and so that it can stay at the top. Then I can work from there. So done. Done, okay. Frustrating. Anyway, let's see. So just to keep things simple, I am going to start having a bit of a look through my palettes. I really like that olivey color. So let's start with a bit of that. What have we got here? It's going to give me a bit of a feel because some of them are kind of quite textural. The fabrics, they've got quite graphic design type of thing. So maybe if I do like some of these abstract brushes. This is the first time I have designed a quilt like this, so I am flying quite blind. And I'll definitely be sharing more of the process on my channel. And I'll be sharing also on Instagram, obviously, and on my blog, which I'll link both of those below. So I'm basically going to be pulling from my stash for a lot of this. So I'm just going to have a real mix of different greens. So the idea is I'm kind of just going to do it in like foundation piece bits like this, in semi-rectangular chunks. Can we call them rectangular chunks? I don't know when they're going to turn into waves, but within the wave they're going to be like chunk, 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 chunk. That's the technical term for it. So that's the plan. I'm just looking for some more textures and patterns just to mix up what I'm showing here. So it might even end up including like, again, too large. Procreate kind of remembers the last color that I used. So the last, like the brush size and stuff that I used. So it just kind of comes up like that. Yeah, see, I'm liking how that's coming together. I'm hoping said child does also. Hey kiddo, are you there?
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
I would like some quilt approval, please. This is the scary part. Okay, so what are you thinking of something like that?
Can it be like a colour gradient?
In the greys?
No. In the stripes. I feel like that could be cool.
Well, because they're going to be patched.
Yeah. So like.
And then the greys will be like a
so yeah, you'd go like purple patches, then blue patches, then green patches.
Oh, because I thought the original plan was that we were kind of going with greens on a grey background.
Yeah, I changed my mind.
And now he tells me he's changed his mind. Potentially that could work. And so then the background will be like a mix of greys, kind of patched. I probably picked the wrong brush for this, but anyway. Swing that around a bit more. So you kind of be different patches of greys. So fill it in like that. So I think that'd look really nice. So like purple, so say green but see how they're overlapping. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that then.
Well, like
so you could
red and then sort of purpley, then bluey, then greeny.
So I mean, if that big one there's green, Then I could do blue and purple under here.
Yeah.
And then like a yellow and a red. Okay. Right, let's try that again. So I'm going to duplicate that. Kids, don't you love them? That's so much fun. Thank you, child. Good thing I didn't start sewing, isn't it? Okay, so let's get rid of most of these colours. Okay, so apparently we're not doing green all over, as nice as I feel like that would look. Okay. Right, so let's go. So we've done greens. Okay, so let's try some of these blues now. And then if I go into recents, it's going to show me some of the brushes I've already used. It's probably closer to purple than blue, isn't it? Alright, so that's in this one. And then, okay, so let's go, let's find a nice blue in my palettes. What have we got? There's a blue. So I'm feeling like that middle one needs to be blue. So I feel like this middle one kind of needs to be blue to make this concept he's just thrown at me make sense. Classic disc. Okay, so let's play with some of this. That one probably there is going to need to change, but this is kind of just a proof of concept type of sketch. Since this child likes to vex me, has he no compassion for my poor nerves? We're studying Pride and Prejudice for school at the minute, and one of the questions for Miss 13 was, you know, what does this first conversation between Mr. and Mrs. Bennet make you think of? My delightful child, can I tell you, told me Mrs. Bennet makes her think of Mummy. Isn't that lovely? Oh, you're Mrs. Bennet and Daddy is Mr. Bennet. Brilliant. Thank you. Love that for me. So now I'm leaning into it. And these children really have no compassion for my poor nerves. What else did we use? We used the circles. I can't even find my patterns, friends. Here we go. Let's go something like that. That one. Oh, that's a bit big. So I often use these patterns for my digital mixed media, which is why they're so huge. So they act almost like a stencil when I'm replicating jelly printing. All right, I mean, it's not looking terrible. It's just not as nice as I was expecting. But it's not my quilt. Stop looking at me, child. Thinking maybe instead of a red, let's go like an orange up here, and I can add some reds in with it. Okay, go here. You would think I would check my brushes, wouldn't you, by this point in the video? And yet here we are, and I keep having the same problem. Okay, I'll just erase that. Okay, and then maybe like a pinkish color down here, are we thinking? I don't want it super pink. Maybe even something like that could work. Oh no, well let's go maybe a yellow. Let's go like a mustard, the disc. Go like even something like that could work. Probably needs to be a bit paler for the effect that I'm thinking of. There we go. Give that a bit of a colour in. Something like that. Okay. Recent. And I mean, let's go back to this. Okay, kind of colour that in like that. Okay. So I mean, let's get rid of those greys for now. Okay. I mean, that could work. And I've definitely got all of these colours, which would mean that I'm not then depleting my green stash completely. Okay, so we've got greens. I mean, my preference is definitely the greens, I think. But I mean, that would be fun to sew as well. So let's maybe try putting in, I'm just going to turn that drawing guide back on, just because I want to add some grey. Okay, so let's go kind of up, saturation down to the brightness up. So knowing him, there'll definitely need to be some charcoal, and do it this way. Let's go So it could be something like that. And then I could just, yeah, that's going to work better. Here would be, I haven't filled that in properly, have I? Goodness, okay. So obviously as I put it together, the actual shape of these pieces, but this is just to give it a bit of an idea. A lot of this piecing is going to be very improv and just getting it to fit together nicely. So like this one could be something like this. And it's definitely going to look cool, I think, with this pieced grey background. So now let's just brighten that up a touch again. So I'm thinking maybe like 4 or 5 shades of grey. Oh, I'm doing the same thing again. So let's loop it around like that. Okay. Obviously it's not going to be perfect because I am just trying to get a feel for it. It's really kind of working the way I was picturing it, which I really like. The question is, do I dare now get the child to approve again, or is he going to tell me that I've got it wrong again? I don't know I can handle that kind of rejection in my life this afternoon. Come tell me, child, what do you think? I'm going to approve, please.
Yeah, looks good.
You don't like it?
No, I do. I think that looks good.
Sure we can't do the green?
I'll do the green then.
No, it's all right. We don't have to decide because I'm just doing the designs for now, just to get a feel for it. What are you thinking of these greys? This idea of having the different greys in the background, or do you just want like one solid grey?
No, I like the greys.
You like the idea of different greys, or shall I just go, so, I mean, you could do it just as a solid grey background, which would look a bit like this.
Yeah, I like the greys.
The different greys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right, so it feels like we have approval of at least the basic design, which is a start. I feel like this has been done enough that I can see the proof of concept with these different greys. And at this point, I think the trick is going to be picking the different ones so that it looks effective without looking too busy. I feel like it's probably starting to get too much contrast in there. I'm not entirely sure, but I mean like that, if I go, yeah, continue filling, yes. Oh, see, that's not bad either. If we just go all charcoal. Okay, so hang on, let's turn that one off. See, that could look quite effective too. And then let's see that with the grey, with the greens. Where are we? Greens. Okay, so what I'm going to do actually, I'm just going to go plus disc. So if you double tap on your wheel at the top, it'll give you white. If you double tap down the bottom, it'll give you pure black. So let's go white. And then on this new layer here, I'm just going to go just so that the fabric stands out, because the fabric will be different color. I do think this process was much easier when they were toddlers and like couldn't offer opinions, because then I could just do what I liked and they would love it anyway because their mummy made it for them. So with that done, I think my next step is going to be, I will kind of take just the line work and I'll drop it over into Photoshop. And from there, I will need to trim it down so that it fits onto A4 paper, obviously. Yeah, so that's cool. That could look nice with just a solid background too. Okay, that's a decision for another day. You need to stop me thinking about this. What I'll do, I will just turn off all of these and I will take just, oh, I've even turned off the layer that I needed. There we go. So I will transpose this into Photoshop. So I'll take this out, put it into Photoshop and slice it. So the idea will be I will then be able to just go like I'll create rectangles. Better than that, obviously, but A4 sized. So then I can piece these curves But ideally, there might be some white space in here is going to be my problem. But I nearly need that white space to place those. That, or I will just measure this distance here and work it from there maybe, but I don't know. I like the idea of having that space set. So that's my next step. Thank you for joining me on the drawing part of this, and I want to do a sketchbook page on this process, so I'll be sure to share that. I hope you've enjoyed this little peek behind the scenes in today's Craft With Me video. If you want to see more about this quilt as it progresses, don't forget to subscribe here, and you can also follow along on my blog and on Instagram. Have a great day, friends.